Hello there folks, I'm Dan Brown from Sort of Interesting. Just a quick one for you today. I've got a load of random simple camping and outdoors gear that I've really wanted to show you for a while, but none of them really fit in with any other video or deserve a video of their own. So here we go. And I know as soon as I say simple camping gear, you're going to start thinking about things to strike up sparks, you're going to think about weatherproof matches and camouflage netting. But what I'm really talking about is stuff like this. Right then my friends, let's start with the most boring, dry sacks. Now the headline feature of these is obviously they keep your kit dry. However, I think there's something that's almost more useful for these, especially if you're trying to cram stuff into the backpack, as I endlessly fetch camo netting out of that small bag like some kind of weird outdoors magician. It's helping to illustrate my second use of these, which is as some sort of compression sacks where you can really crush stuff down, and because of the nature of the opening of these, instead of the bag being a fixed size, you basically put what you want to keep dry in it and then just keep rolling the top over before you latch it together with a simple plastic buckle. And that means that you can cram some stuff in there, so something like camouflage netting, which is basically full of holes, so it's always going to crush down very small. But in a dry sack, I can basically squeeze all of the air out of it and then keep looping that top over to really crush it down as small as possible, attach the buckle, and then not only is it waterproof, but it's basically airtight for all intents and purposes. This zoomed in footage should hopefully illustrate it perfectly. You can see I've crushed the air out, I'm wrapping around that top section where the opening is, and then I attach that plastic buckle, and that's it. It's sealed, it's, as I say, practically airtight, never mind waterproof. Next, let's look at what everybody wants to see, me falling into the river off a tree.
Waterproof socks!
So, really quick and simple, just like the dry bags, I don't want to talk about waterproof socks just for their headline feature of being waterproof, which is of course a very handy thing and has obvious benefits of keeping your feet dry, especially in the wintertime where even if you have waterproof boots, there's a chance on the long wet winter hikes that you're going to get water coming in over the top of your boots anyway, so to have a second line of waterproofing around your toes is never a bad thing. But also, these particular pair are really thick, which adds a nice bit of warmth, and especially if you're out camping overnight and you've got wet feet, being able to have these dry in your bag to change into not only means that you've got something nice and warm and dry and waterproof for overnight, but also that next morning when you put your feet into those cold wet boots, you at least know for the first goodness knows how many miles of the hike back to safety is at least going to be done with dry feet. Anyway, let's look at me falling in properly.
Nearly lost me. Wow.
Anyway, two simple items in rapid succession coming up now for you. So firstly is one of these plastic folding feet sets to go onto the bottom of a gas bottle for this type of stove. My particular one's a fire maple, but you may be familiar, there's all sorts of brands doing this sort of thing. And you may gather, especially with the gas bottle that goes in the self-contained setup, it's very top heavy, and this is without having any water or any cooking going on in the pot itself, which only makes it even more top heavy. Yes, I know I've picked the worst possible ground to do this, just to deliberately make it worse a problem than it might actually be. But you can see though, as soon as I've clipped that plastic foot to the gas bottle, it's massively widened the base and made it far more stable, even in this particularly ridiculous over-the-top example, as if you'd have a flame burning on top of all that in the first place. But you can see, even compared to my slightly bigger gas bottle, it massively opens up and widens that footprint. So there are quite a few different designs of these third-party feet, and a lot of them are designed like this, where they will actually fit in the self-contained unit itself. However, because my burner has the little fire starter, the igniter on it, it doesn't actually fit. But you can see, even here, one side of it is actually shaped and contoured to the same contours as the gas bottle. I was originally on the fence about including this as a quick 20-second or so mention, but here we go. a simple small inflatable pillow. Now, I was on the fence myself about taking these with me on my own camping trips, but after using me rucksack and half a boot to lay my head down in the bivvy bag overnight, I honestly think just having a nice clean pillow, especially if you get a nice soft touch one, it's just it's just lovely to put your head down at night. It makes you feel more civilized than the rucksack.
This hat! At least for me, this hat specifically. Maybe a different hat for you.
You can now look back at about 15 years or so of videos on this channel and see almost universally I'm wearing a hat. Whether it's day or night, it doesn't matter. And that's not just because it keeps the sun out of my eyes, it also keeps the wind and the rain out of my eyes very often. And I used to have really bad skin around my eyes, which is why I started to wear the hat obsessively originally. But I wear it at night so often because I'm very often wandering through woodlands and hedgerows and all the rest of it, and being able to just duck my head down and push through the trees, knowing that I'm at least shielding my eyes to a certain extent from rogue twigs with the peak. If I just play that clip again from the start of this segment, you'll see what I'm trying to illustrate, which is head down, push through, twigs kept away from my face. So yeah, my obsessive hat wearing came from having really bad skin around my eyes and protecting it from the elements, and then it just remained because it became such a handy tool for all of my undergrowth adventures, we'll say. Next item. What on earth was that weird giant corkscrew I had at the start of the video? Well, this is actually an anchor point for a dog. So you can see I literally am just screwing it straight down into the ground, and of course that's a significant amount of length that is going into the ground. It does come supplied with a proper attachment and that cable so that can freely move around the anchor point itself. And that's great. It gives Gizmo the dog a little bit of running space that he can go off and explore, and obviously he can set up a bit of shade and food and stuff that he can roam around in. However, I will admit, and I probably shouldn't use it like this, so I don't recommend it like this, but how I use it, when I'm camping with either the tent or the bivvy bag with Gizmo, I will anchor that into the ground just outside of the tent or bivvy, and then I'll just loop Gizmo's normal lead straight over the top of it, so that if Gizmo does see a rabbit or a fox or something interesting out and wants to go and investigate, by the time he's burst through the bivvy and the tent side, he will find himself still anchored down by that, which hopefully then gives me a chance to regain control of the situation. So that's been a rapid fire look at some random outdoors items I couldn't shoehorn into any of my other videos, so I hope it's given you some food for thought. I'll leave some Amazon associate links down in the description below, so if you buy through those I will get a commission, and that's an excellent way to help support these videos if you're looking at buying some of this sort of stuff anyway. Anyway, I suppose I'll just say thank you very much for watching. Please do give the video a like and do subscribe if you haven't already for loads more stuff like this and actual outdoor adventures too. I'd like to say a series of absolutely massive thank yous to some of my recent supporters, whether that's PayPal, Facebook subscription, YouTube channel members, super thanks, and anywhere else people may be supporting me. So a massive thank you to King G, Darren S, Pablo, Tanya A, Kirby's Mum MS, Dawn M, The Equalizer, Nathan EB, Colin B, Rack, Martin H, Kevin Y, Alice L, Jackie A, Sean B, Colin S, Elaine L, Kaz G, Rich AH, Monica R, MV, James G, Carol P, Steve B, George B, Sharon LH, Melissa S, Alex E, Stevie the Badger, Lima Bean, John D, Mr. Dave C, 1234, Art V, Stinky, Terence S, Amber S, Chris C, Nick T, Rob, Bowling01, Chris F, and Hilly Bean. Thank you very much, everybody. Until the next time, keep it interesting, keep it random camping kit worthy. Have a fantastic day, and of course, my friends, farewell.